Hello, and welcome to another update video on Bitcoin. Well, this is the continuation to the downside I talked about in the last video update earlier today. So there's no reason at the moment to change the structure or the microstructure. I didn't share the microstructure today on YouTube because I had already uploaded it on X earlier today. You can still check it out. It's obviously still relevant, but in this video, I want to give you an update. I can just only recommend, sometimes I upload videos on X that I don't upload on YouTube. I also don't want to overload this channel here. It's already overloaded. So feel free to join us there as well for additional updates, context, and much more. So let's dive into the nanostructures. By the way, I will add the microstructures, not the microstructure. We'll add the, I only see waves. I'm going to add the link in the comment section. So let's take a look here at the Elliott Wave structures, for Bitcoin. Microstructures, that is. So the context, most of you will know the context by now, unless you're really new to this channel. So I just want to give you a brief introduction. The idea is currently that we are in a downside move, obviously. Yellow scenario is currently leading. And this has become obvious at the, it became obvious after the 5-wave decline here. It already became a major risk after we saw only 3 waves up here and then a micro 5-wave decline. That was a 1-2 setup we were tracking. Also up here, this was a 5-wave decline, but it was too early to recognize the structure that we see right now. Here, the potential was there. Obviously, I was tracking an A-B structure, but kept the door open for a larger B, right? I kept the door open for a larger B. It didn't give us that larger B. It wasn't needed as such because we already reached the 61.8 retracement. I think my ideal target was something around 117,100, which was really close. So we came really close for this B wave, but I still don't want to fully give up on the B wave. A broader B wave. It can still happen, yeah. So basically, I'm following mainly 2 scenarios right now. And before we dive in, I just want to make it very clear, I'm not overall bearish. It might sound like that, yeah. But that's just because I see the potential of ongoing 3rd wave downside structure to develop on the micro level, yeah. So I have been short-term bearish now. Due to these structures, and they play out to the downside. But I'm not yet in the space, or in the, I'm not yet in the camp of people who tell you the bear market has started. It could be. Earlier today, I read a comment on YouTube, and again, I see who's following regularly, who isn't. And I made in the Ethereum video today the point that really all the commentary I make in these videos is important. So just, tuning in, checking quickly what the count is, and then tuning out again is normally not good. I said before, Q4 is really the time to be in crypto. Whether you're bullish or bearish doesn't matter. Q4 is normally very decisive. But no, I read a comment about why Elliott Wave analysts wouldn't recognize that we already have a 5-wave move up on the larger time frame. Well, we do recognize that, right? We do recognize that. I mentioned it many times. The bull market could be finished. Yeah, it could be. The requirements for a 5-wave move up are complete from the 2022 low. Absolutely, on the macro. I might make another video on that, but I've said it many times. But we all know that just a 5-wave move up, it just means we have to be on the side of caution. We can't just be bearish until we see signals. And I am short-term bearish, but I still recognize we could still be in a larger degree bullish structure. So I'm still going to look for opportunities on the long side, especially if or when Bitcoin's chart gets getting oversold. So the daily RSI being oversold is going to be an interesting signal that I might use to add some positions. Yeah. However, that doesn't mean that I couldn't be bearish in the short term, and I've been clearly bearish, and I will continue to be bearish until resistances break. It's very simple. I'm not bullish or bearish per se. I'm not someone who's got a bias technically. I'm not in love with a bias. Let's say I'm flexible. I'm going with the trend. And I try to help you understand if we see bearish or bullish setups. In recent days, we've seen bearish setups. So that we now see further downside today is not a surprise to anyone who watched previous updates, because it's been 5 down, 3 up, 5 down. I haven't seen such clear impulses in a long time. Unfortunately, I know, unfortunately they go down. I can't change that, right? But it shouldn't matter to a trader, because as a trader you can be positioned long and short. It's only a problem for those who weren't cautious, okay? And the macro has told us for a long time we need to be cautious. Now, altcoins is a different story. They are all messed up, unfortunately, right? There are a few that still look interesting, but overall. Anyway, the trend is down. I don't want to make this too long. So the trend is down. The microstructures suggest that we are in a third wave to the downside. And the third wave to the downside, yeah, could be 1, 2. This is the third wave in a C wave. Then we could get a fourth wave and a fifth wave. I said before the door to 98K is open. It might be a little lower. It might be a little lower. What my concern is that Bitcoin formed today, not only this 1-2 setup and the wave 2 remained weak, but here another micro 1-2 setup. And we're now in a third of a third of a third. So this is basically what we would call the heart of a third wave. Very aggressive. Very aggressive. But yeah, that would indicate some extensions to the downside, all right? I will pay close attention to 2 key support. So first of all, there is a resistance zone I added. So in case we get a bit of a bounce, this would be the first resistance in case this wave 2 extends between 104,448 to 106,635. But I'm going to watch 2 support areas because this is not carved in stone, yeah? This is a clear trend. Trading a trend is typically easy if you're on the right side of the trend. But I'm going to watch key support levels from where we could get a bounce. Because we've got structural support around 98,500 and then, well, Fibonacci support around 102,100 and then 96,160. These are going to be the next support levels. So that should give you clarity about the microstructures, resistance, next support, and the microstructures as such. If we break above resistance, we're not there. We can talk about that more when it happens. Then I'd pay attention more to a maybe broader B wave that can happen, like a little fake out to the downside, that this B wave moves over here. It would be a delay. I posted it earlier today on Discord. I know not everybody agrees and, maybe not everybody likes that message, but I actually find it good that we now see this pullback. This, I don't want to call it a crash, but it's a large correction. Yeah, I actually find that good because we clearly couldn't get enough buying interest. Let me go briefly to the daily chart. We clearly couldn't get enough buying interest from up here, from this range. So I find it good because it brings Bitcoin into more attractive price regions where buyers might get interested again. Not yet. And also, the sideways range we've seen will not allow the indicator to reset. The RSI, for example, to get into oversold regions. I have been watching for an oversold RSI on the daily for a while. It never happened because it always got a bounce, a bounce, a bounce. So maybe this is the flush we need. Very mean, however, because we already had a flush on the 10th of October. But it did not drive the Bitcoin price down enough for buyers to get interested again, right? And without buyers, I mean, you don't need sellers for a market to top. You just need an absence of buyers. And so we need retail to come in, be interested in Bitcoin, drive the price up, because institutions aren't going to drive the price up. It's going to be retail. Yeah, just market orders driving the price up on the exchanges. And only retail is typically doing that. So yeah, I mean, again, I actually find it good. It wasn't unexpected. I shared that video about the daily chart yesterday where I highlighted the risk of a third wave to the downside. And so everybody was prepared. I know that doesn't mean that, we knew it. Yeah. And I know there are still people who don't like what we see here right now. But it might be finally the chance for Bitcoin to find support somewhere and start the next impulse. Because everything that happened here in the range. I mean, look, we haven't really moved anywhere since May. Yes, there were a couple of all-time highs, 3 all-time highs, but it wasn't really a sustained upside move. So that there might be another attempt. I'm just saying, right? So I'm not overall bearish, yeah, but I'm short-term bearish. and I will stay short-term bearish until the market gives me a reason to be short-term bullish again. I'll keep you updated. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you're interested in additional updates, then also check out our X channel, yeah, for additional charts. Sometimes videos are published here a little sooner. You get extra updates and much more. Content is distributed among different platforms, of course. So check it out here as well. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.